It started as a routine hearing until Jasmine Crockett called out J.D. Vance on live TV. What she didn't expect? A calm, savage reply that went viral in minutes. "You need to see this." It began like any other hearing. Dry, procedural, a typical day on Capitol Hill. The Senate and House had convened a joint session to discuss a range of national issues. On the agenda, everything from rising inflation to America's increasingly tense foreign policy stance. For most viewers, it looked like a predictable day in Washington. But politics has a way of surprising people, especially when bold personalities walk into the room. And that day, one such personality was Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. A freshman Democrat from Texas, Crockett has quickly made a name for herself as a fierce, outspoken voice in the Democratic Party. With a background in civil rights law and a reputation for fiery rhetoric, she's not one to hold back, especially when cameras are rolling and the stakes are high. She didn't wait long to make her presence felt. When her name was called, she took the mic with purpose. Her target? Senator J.D. Vance, the best-selling author of Hillbilly Elegy and one of the rising stars in the Republican Party. Known for his unapologetic populism and support for Donald Trump's America First policies, Vance has drawn both admiration and criticism for his no-nonsense political approach. Crockett didn't mince words. She launched straight into a pointed critique, accusing Vance of spreading fear-based narratives and performative outrage instead of offering real solutions. She slammed his rhetoric on immigration, claiming it was more about stoking division than protecting Americans. She questioned his economic positions, suggesting they were more rooted in sound bites than sound policy. Her voice was clear, her tone commanding. This wasn't a passing comment. This was a full-on challenge, and it was clear she came in ready to make a statement. "We're here to work for the American people," she said, locking eyes with Vance across the room. "Not to run right-wing." Talk shows from the Senate floor. The room grew tense. Lawmakers shifted in their seats. Staffers stopped typing. Journalists leaned forward. J.D. Vance didn't interrupt. He didn't roll his eyes or look away. In fact, he did something unexpected. He smiled. He let her finish every word. Calm, still, poised. That's when it became clear something was coming. When she finally wrapped her remarks and handed the mic back, all eyes turned to Vance. And what followed wasn't an angry rebuttal or a shouted insult. No table pounding. No name-calling. Instead, J.D. Vance offered a masterclass in controlled surgical pushback. He began slowly, thanking Crockett for her comments and acknowledging her passion, before calmly dismantling her arguments one by one. He pulled out data on border crossings, cited legislation she had previously supported, and referenced quotes she had made in earlier interviews that appeared to contradict her current stance. "Congresswoman," he said smoothly, "if we're going to call out fear-mongering, let's start by being honest about the facts." Then came the line that sent social media into overdrive. "Because if rhetoric alone solved problems, Congresswoman, we'd be living in paradise." You could feel the air shift. Some Democrats looked stunned. A few Republicans nodded in approval. The moment had become something more than a political exchange. It was a viral moment in the making. Within minutes, clips of the interaction were posted online, first by reporters, then by influencers, then by political commentators on both sides of the aisle. J.D. Vance's calm, composed response contrasted sharply with Crockett's fiery attack. And in the court of public opinion, especially the one that plays out in real time on X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok, that contrast made all the difference. Of course, reactions split down predictable lines. Progressive circles praised Crockett for speaking truth to power and calling out conservative hypocrisy. Conservatives, on the other hand, hailed Vance for his fact-based takedown and cool under-pressure response. But one thing was certain. Everyone was talking about it. Whether you thought Crockett was courageous or reckless, whether you believed Vance was brilliant or smug, the moment mattered, because it reminded everyone watching that in today's political world, every word counts, every look is dissected, And when the cameras are on, you're not just debating the issue, you're performing for the world. What started as a routine policy hearing had transformed into a defining moment for two rising political figures. Crockett came in swinging, bold and unfiltered. But Vance, he came in with the receipts, and he knew exactly when to use them. And while Crockett threw the first punch, it was Vance who delivered the line people would remember. When it was Senator J.D. Vance's turn to speak, the energy in the room noticeably shifted. Gone was the fiery, high-octane tone Jasmine Crockett had brought moments earlier. In its place, a tension-filled silence as all eyes turned toward the Ohio Republican, waiting to see if he'd clap back, fold, or dodge. He began slowly, even deliberately. "I appreciate the Congresswoman's passion," Vance said with a slight nod, his voice calm and composed. No sarcasm, no anger, just a respectful tone that almost masked what was about to unfold. And then he added, "But facts still matter, and here's where things get interesting." That's when the game changed. Without raising his voice, Vance methodically began responding to Crockett's accusations, not with emotion, but with precision. He reached for a folder on the desk in front of him, and out came the receipts. And not just one or 2 points. This was a comprehensive rebuttal. Vance started by addressing Crockett's comments on immigration. She had accused him of pushing fear and misinformation, but Vance countered with real-time border data from DHS. Reports highlighting record surges in illegal crossings, the rise in fentanyl trafficking, and the strain on border towns. It wasn't just talking points. These were documented facts pulled directly from federal sources. Then he pivoted to the economy. Crockett had slammed Republicans for failing to support working-class Americans. Vance calmly pointed out his support for bills aimed at revitalizing American manufacturing, bringing jobs back from overseas, and holding tech monopolies accountable. Positions, he noted, that some Democrats had opposed. But the real kicker came when he turned to Crockett's own words. Vance read out quotes from her social media posts, congressional speeches, and past interviews, statements that directly contradicted what she had just said during the hearing. One example hit especially hard. Crockett had claimed Vance exaggerated the dangers at the southern border. But Vance showed a clip where she previously admitted that the current system at the border is broken and unsustainable. He paused, looked up, and let the irony hang in the air. "If the Congresswoman agrees the system is broken, why attack me for saying the same thing?" he asked. It was a rhetorical question, but the point landed. And then came the line. Thingy. One that would break through political Twitter, explode on TikTok, and headline YouTube shorts across the country. Vance leaned slightly forward, looked directly at Crockett, and said, "If rhetoric fixed problems, Congresswoman, we'd already be in paradise." You could hear a pin drop. There was no shouting, no dramatic pause, just that one sentence delivered with calm clarity that felt like a punch in a velvet glove. The silence in the hearing room said it all. Even those on Crockett's side of the aisle didn't jump to respond immediately. It was a rare moment in modern politics where substance triumphed over spectacle. And online, it was instant wildfire. Within an hour, video clips of the moment were circulating on X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Conservative commentators hailed it as a masterclass in political debate. Moderates praised the restraint and poise Vance showed. Even some progressives, reluctantly, acknowledged that he had landed a powerful blow. The clip of that one line, "If rhetoric fixed problems," was remixed into everything from dramatic reels to meme compilations. TikTok creators used the audio in reaction videos. Political influencers made stitched commentary. In just 12 hours, that moment had been viewed more than 15 million times across platforms. But what really struck people wasn't just the content, it was the contrast. Crockett came out swinging, her tone intense, her message loud. Vance, on the other hand, was calm, quiet, and methodical. And in this battle of style versus substance, it was Vance's delivery that stole the spotlight. Some described it as a verbal jujitsu moment, where the strength of an opponent's attack was used against them. Others likened it to a chess match, saying Crockett made the first bold move, but Vance saw 5 steps ahead. Whatever metaphor you chose, the takeaway was the same. J.D. Vance didn't just respond, he outplayed, and by the end of his remarks, the mood had completely flipped. The committee hearing had gone from a mundane policy debate to a full-blown political moment, a snapshot of how composure, preparation, and facts can turn the tide in a single sentence. It didn't take long, mere minutes really, before the internet did what it does best, take a political moment and turn it into a cultural event. Clips of the explosive exchange between Jasmine Crockett and J.D. Vance were immediately uploaded across social platforms. First by reporters inside the hearing room, then by political commentators, then by millions of everyday users who couldn't believe what they just witnessed. On X, formerly Twitter, hashtags began trending almost instantly. Crockett vs. Vance. Mic drop JD. Facts over feelings. It wasn't just trending in political circles. It was breaking out into the mainstream. Within an hour, multiple versions of the clip had hit millions of views. Some were raw uploads of the moment. Others were edited with dramatic background music, captions, and slow motion. Effects for added impact. One user dubbed it the political KO of the week. But it wasn't just X. On TikTok, creators got to work instantly. Soundtracked by everything from Inception-style bass drops to boxing bell SFX, the moment of J.D. Vance's clapback, especially his now viral line, "If rhetoric fixed problems, Congresswoman, we'd already be in paradise," was repurposed into thousands of videos. One viral TikTok showed the exchange with a split screen. Crockett speaking passionately on one side, while Vance calmly slid his papers around on the other, with the caption, "When you talk loud, but he brings the receipts." That single video, 9 million views in less than 24 hours. Meanwhile, over on YouTube, political content creators rushed to post their takes. Some uploaded full reaction videos, dissecting the exchange frame by frame like a sports analyst breaking down a big play. Right-wing YouTubers hailed Vance's performance as a clinic in how to handle political heat. Left-leaning channels had mixed reactions. Some defended Crockett's intensity and criticized Vance as smug, while others admitted the congressman may have been outmatched in the moment. Neutral or independent commentators focused on style and delivery, noting how Vance's calm demeanor contrasted with Crockett's firebrand energy, a tale of 2 political philosophies playing out in real time. Even mainstream news outlets couldn't ignore the virality of it all. Within hours, headlines began popping up across the web. J.D. Vance delivers the unexpected comeback that stunned Congress. Crockett's passion meets Vance's precision in Capitol Hill clash. Political theater or genuine debate? Internet explodes over Vance versus Crockett showdown. Several major networks picked up the story during evening broadcasts, each running the clip with commentary. CNN called it a moment that shows how debate in the digital age is as much about optics as it is about argument. Fox News praised Vance for remaining composed under pressure, while MSNBC emphasized Crockett's boldness in calling out conservative messaging tactics. Even late-night comedy shows couldn't resist. One host joked, Congress had a hearing, but social media had a cage match. Another quipped, Jasmine Crockett came with fire, but J.D. Vance brought the fire extinguisher. Across Reddit and Instagram, memes erupted. One showed Vance with sunglasses edited onto his face, the caption reading, calm, cool, collected, clapback. Another meme used the classic "This is fine dog sitting in fire," but with Crockett's face. While Vance sat across the table sipping coffee with the phrase, "Still got the data, though." Whether it was comedy, commentary, or genuine analysis, the moment transcended the political world and became a pop culture moment. But what made this interaction truly explosive wasn't just what was said, it was how perfectly it fit into today's internet age. It had all the ingredients of a viral hit, a fiery confrontation, a shocking twist, a viral soundbite, strong personalities, and, most importantly, a clear contrast in style. It was political theater, elevated to digital spectacle. And while debates are nothing new on Capitol Hill, this one felt different. It wasn't just lawmakers talking to each other. They were talking to the world, to voters, to content creators, to digital audiences with the power to amplify or dismantle reputations in real time. And the internet responded. It became clear that this moment would follow both Vance and Crockett well beyond that committee room. Through interviews, campaign ads, fundraising efforts, and every algorithmic feed in between. Whether you viewed it as a smackdown or a misunderstanding, one thing was undeniable. The internet crowned a winner that day, and it wasn't quiet about it. Beneath the memes, media buzz, and viral video edits, something more meaningful was unfolding, a revealing glimpse into the future of political discourse. Yes, the clash between Jasmine Crockett and J.D. Vance gave the internet a show. Yes, it delivered drama, zingers, and tension that content creators could feast on for days. But beyond the headlines and hashtags, the moment unveiled a deeper truth about the state of modern politics and how today's politicians choose to engage with the world. On one side stood Crockett, a symbol of the rising progressive wave. She came in with passion. She came in swinging. Her approach, fueled by righteous anger and fierce conviction, resonates with a younger, more energized Democratic base. She speaks in sound bites, speaks to the camera, and knows how to light up social media. Crockett represents a new breed of politician, bold, unapologetic, and more interested in starting conversations than winning committee debates. To her supporters, she's authentic, relatable, willing to say what others won't. And in today's media landscape, those traits go a long way. But on the other side stood J.D. Vance, equally strategic, just in a very different way. Where Crockett brought heat, Vance brought calculation. Where she led with emotion, he led with execution. Where she pressed for headlines, he quietly built his moment, step by step. And when the time came, Vance delivered not just a response, but a performance of political precision. His style? Measured, focused, fully loaded with data, context, and timing. He didn't shout. He didn't interrupt. He didn't even look rattled. He let the facts speak, and his delivery made them land with impact. That's the part many observers missed in the noise of virality. This wasn't about who yelled the loudest. It was about who came prepared. In that moment, J.D. Vance didn't just defend himself. He flipped the narrative, reframed the issue, and walked away, having shifted public perception. This wasn't just a debate, it was a clash of political philosophies, emotion versus evidence, charisma versus calculation. Flash versus focus, and in this round, composure won. Not because passion isn't powerful, it is. Passion builds movements. Passion wins elections. But in high-stakes environments like congressional hearings, preparation and delivery can be more disarming than outrage, and Vance used that to his full advantage. That's not to say Crockett didn't have valid points. She did. Many Americans share her frustration with political gridlock, performative politics, and inaction. She voiced that frustration on a national stage, and that alone earned her respect. But in this particular exchange, the delivery didn't match the moment. Because while the passion was real, the receipts were not as airtight. And when a skilled opponent, like Vance, steps in with surgical precision, the contrast becomes striking. This moment wasn't an anomaly. It was a snapshot of the modern political battlefield. In today's political age, the debate isn't just on the Senate floor, it's on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitter, X. Politicians are no longer just lawmakers. They're influencers, content creators, digital brand builders. Every exchange is content. Every quote is a clip. Every moment is a meme waiting to happen. And that's what made this face-off between Crockett and Vance so fascinating. It wasn't just about the issues. It was about style, substance, and strategy. The way Crockett leaned into her fiery, unapologetic tone spoke to her audience. The way Vance used facts and flawless timing spoke to his. Both were speaking to America, but in totally different languages. One relied on intensity, the other relied on impact. One was immediate. The other was deliberate, and in a rare twist in modern politics, it was the deliberate one who walked away with the win. This wasn't just a viral moment, it was a masterclass in political contrast. A reminder that in the arena of public opinion, there's more than one way to command attention, but more importantly, it reminded future candidates, lawmakers, and political hopefuls of one timeless truth. In the end, it's not about how loud you speak. It's about whether you're heard and what you leave behind when the mic drops. Once the dust had settled and the internet began to catch its breath, both Jasmine Crockett and J.D. Vance took to their own platforms to address what had just unfolded. It wasn't just a post-hearing debrief. It was part 2 of the showdown, played out not in the halls of Congress, but in the far more ruthless court of public opinion, social media. Crockett holds her ground. Crockett was the first to respond, uploading a video on her official account late that evening. Her tone was firm. Her message clear. "I spoke truth to power," she said, looking straight into the camera. "I will never apologize for standing up for what's right, whether the cameras are on or not." She doubled down on her points about Republican messaging, calling out what she saw as hypocrisy, fear-mongering, and a lack of compassion in policymaking. But she also took a moment to frame the exchange as something bigger than just a clash with Vance. "This isn't about one senator," she said. "This is about what kind of country we want to be, and I'm going to fight for that every single day." Her supporters flooded the comments with praise. "You were bold. You were brave. We need more leaders who speak up like this. Unbothered and unbossed." Clips of her video started circulating again, this time accompanied by hashtags like #StandWithCrockett and unapologetically_me. To many in her base, she didn't lose the exchange. She just didn't play by the traditional rules. And in a political climate where passion and authenticity matter just as much as policy, her message still resonated. Vance's quiet victory. Lap J.D. Vance, on the other hand, didn't say much, but he didn't need to. The next morning, he posted just one thing, a short clip from the hearing, the moment he delivered his now iconic line, "If rhetoric fixed problems, Congresswoman, we'd already be in paradise." No additional commentary, no grand speech, just a caption that read, "Facts, feelings." That post? Over 5 million views in 24 hours, tens of thousands of shares, endless replies, some praising, some attacking, but all engaging. It was strategic, it was surgical, and it was very J.D. Vance. Where Crockett leaned into emotion and energy, Vance stayed rooted in minimalism and message discipline. His supporters called it a mic drop without even turning around, and while both lawmakers walked away with more followers, more media mentions, and more public attention than they had 48 hours prior, one thing was obvious. This exchange wasn't just about them. It was a lesson, a warning, and a blueprint for every rising political figure watching. Welcome to the new arena. In the old days, political battles were fought behind closed doors or in long newspaper op-eds that few people read. Today, every second is content. Every word is a potential headline. Every pause is a meme in the making. If you're a politician in 2025, you're not just preparing for debates or committee hearings. You're preparing for viral moments. The internet doesn't care about parliamentary procedure or legislative nuance. It cares about impact, contrast, moments that feel real. And that's exactly what the Crockett-Vance exchange provided. A powerful reminder that substance and style are no longer separate. They're intertwined. Jasmine Crockett brought passion, energy, and the voice of a younger, more outspoken generation. J.D. Vance brought poise, facts, and a controlled delivery that felt almost cinematic in its timing. They both spoke to different audiences, but they both understood the assignment. Because in this digital era, politicians aren't just lawmakers, they're brands, they're performers. They're walking, talking campaigns, 24/7. And if you're not ready when the moment comes, If you hesitate, fumble, or overreach, the internet will know. Because once that red light turns on, once the clip starts recording, once your words hit social feeds, there's no going back. The Crockett-Vance moment may not shift national policy overnight. It didn't pass a bill, fix the border, or change inflation numbers. But it did something arguably more powerful in this moment. It set a standard for how political figures will be judged, not just by pundits, but by the public. Authenticity is still king. But preparation is queen, and when those two go head-to-head, only one walks away trending for the right reasons. This wasn't just a debate. It was a digital duel. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more political face-offs, and turn on that bell so you never miss the next viral moment. Until then, welcome to the era where every mic drop is a message.